Terry, go ahead as soon as your microphone's active.
Yeah, Dave, can you go through the development of Mikko since you arrived here? And another part of it's we haven't really given much recognition to what he did over in the KHL. I mean, he won 2 Gagarin Cups, and his numbers are phenomenal over there. To what extent have you guys kind of looked into that a bit?
Well, you recognize what he's, what he's done in his past to get here. I looked at his record, over the years before I came last year. When I looked at him, the one thing that was evident was he looked like he was fatigued at the year before, had played a lot of games, and it looked like that was affecting his play. And this year, we with the way we platooned our guys, he's looked fresh every start. He's, you know what, he is a quiet guy, but he's a mature guy. He understands the game very well. He's just coming, he has a quiet confidence about him. And, I think this year, the biggest thing with both our goaltenders is our team trusts both of them, and I think the goaltenders trust the team. And so he's played well all year, and what he's done in the past. You know that it's not. He's got good experience in playoffs, just not in the NHL. So you recognize that, and we expect him to be a good player in the playoffs.
Next question to Tim Campbell. Tim, as soon as your microphone is unmuted, and go ahead. Go ahead.
Hi, Dave. During all the waiting time, and there was some idle time, 4.5 months worth, what was the thing in your mind you just knew you were going to have to keep your eye on with your team when we got started back up? So what was that thing, and how do we stand with that thing today as we're ready for game one?
You know what? You're always concerned about the mindset of your team. The longer it went on, you're really concerned that is your team going to be pumped up to come back? Are they, it's been so long, it's the summer, where are we? And so we stayed in close contact with our players. We had every week or so, we'd have a conference call with all the players and just kind of get some feedback. And, as we went on, it became clear to me that our players were enthused about coming back. We wanted an opportunity to come back. And that was the big thing we talked as a group with. There's an opportunity in front of us. If we embrace that opportunity, wherever it was going to be and whenever it was going to start, that will give us a chance. And I really, as a coach, you're concerned about that. But as soon as the players got here and kind of got together and started working out, you realize that wasn't going to be an issue with our group. They were enthused to be here, anxious to get going, and we talked about building from the start of training camp, and even today, they were talking about that. We got one more practice, and then we get to go. So I've been really, really pleasantly surprised, and not surprised is the wrong word, but it's been good to see their mindset coming in, and that was my concern when we finished.
Next question, Ryan Rashad. Ryan, go ahead.
Dave, usually heading into a playoff series, you have a bit of notice who you're going to face. Unique situation this year in that you've known for quite a long time who your opponent was going to be. I wonder if there was a way in which you put that extra time to use, dug any deeper than you might normally, and then if you can, just to comment on what you found about the Hawks and what do you think their biggest challenges will be that you guys face?
Well, anytime you go into a playoff series, your opponent, you go through them, but I'm a big believer as we have to have our team ready, or it doesn't matter what the other team does. So we've geared a lot of the stuff that we want to do to our team. That being said, you gear things with your team that are ways to beat the other team without talking about the other team. So we've really concentrated on ourselves. We know Chicago's a very good team. They're high skill, great leadership. They're pretty deep, and they played some of their best hockey down the stretch. So they'll be a very good opponent, but we have to make sure that we're ready to play and play the way we can to give ourselves a chance to be successful.
Next question to Marty Klinken. Go ahead, Marty.
Hi, Coach. I'm wondering, this is such an unprecedented and unusual time right now. If there's anything about the bubble that surprised you, and what's the oddest or most unusual thing that you've noticed about it?
I'm probably not the right guy to ask that question, because in actual fact, I live full time in the bubble here because I live right upstairs in this building. So, it hasn't changed that much for me, other than you don't have the freedom to go to the grocery store or whatever. But it's been pretty normal for me. It's interesting seeing the other teams around, running into a lot of people throughout the league that you don't normally run into on a daily basis. But all in all, the bubble has been, between the food, the restaurants, the testing has gone very smooth. Dressing rooms, everything to me has gone very, very smooth so far. And I know from our player standpoint, there's no complaints whatsoever. And it's probably, for a lot of hockey players, it's like a kids tournament when you used to go, lots of teams around and everybody's excited to play. And once the tournament starts, there'll be lots of enthusiasm and lots of people watching. So it's the experience in the bubble has been very positive so far.
Next question, Jason Gregor. Jason, as soon as your microphone's ready, you can go ahead.
Dave, I know I spoke to you yesterday. You were just getting ready to watch St. Louis and Chicago. Did you see anything different that you saw in that game that they're doing that maybe they weren't doing at the end of the regular season?
No, they played very well last night. They looked like a enthusiastic team. They played very well, and the scoreboard indicated that.
Next question, Daniel Nugent-Bowman. Daniel, as soon as your microphone's active, you can go ahead.
Dave, it's no secret, obviously, that Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl had tremendous seasons. Checking seems to get a little bit tighter in the playoffs. I'm just curious how you think they can elevate their game from what was already a tremendous year.
Well, they know their role on the team, what's expected from them. We expect everybody to play as well as they can, them included. I mean, they certainly are, they're well known for their status in the league and how good of players they are, but we expect everybody to play that way. Everybody's got to go into a playoff series and contribute the best way they can. Some guys get more opportunity, and whether it be power play or more ice time, but we expect everybody to contribute, and they know the checking is tighter, and they recognize that they have to check tighter also. I mean, that's just playoff hockey. That's where they are.
Next question, Jim Matheson, go ahead.
Dave, a question on Yamamoto. Is it too obvious to say that Yamamoto's success the 2 months when the new year started saved your team, because he gave you a second line, and before you loaded up on the first line with Connor and Leon and Cassian, but with Yamamoto coming in, he gave you a different look and a different option on another line.
He gave us some depth to allow us to break up Connor and Leon, but we didn't play very well in December. We came out after Christmas and got schwacked by Calgary. We dug into some of the things we were doing. I think that was a turning point for our team. Like I say, that's when we really separated Connor and Leon, and Yamo coming in gave us another depth forward. So it kind of changed the complexion of our team. And Yamo, I give him credit, he played very well coming in, but when we brought him in, we didn't realize that he was going to be an anchor on a second or a mainstay on a second line with Leon. That kind of evolved as his play dictated that. So he played very well, but it allowed our team, I thought we were going to take second steps in the second half, and we did. Him adding extra depth there for us at the forward allowed us to create two real good lines. And, I thought our second half was much better than our first half.
Next question, Mark Spector. Go ahead, Mark.
Two questions, Dave. Help us with the spelling of schwacked. Is there a C in schwacked?
You'll have to figure that one for yourself, Speck. You're the journalist here, not me.
The second question would be, everyone tunes in to watch the Oilers play and they want a bunch of goals, right? Sportsnet, HockeyNet in Canada, they bill them as the high-flying Oilers and all that. But as playoffs roll on, we know it's about as much or more how many pucks you let in your net. Guys like Chris Russell and Adam Larson that block the big shot and all that. As you prepare for Chicago, are you more mindful of shoring up defense and keeping pucks out of your net, or letting the horses run and beat somebody 5-4?
You're both. You have to be able to play well with the puck, and you have to score to win, but you also have to defend. If you let the other team score as meant at will, then you're going to have a hard time winning. So we've concentrated on both. We know that we have to do good things with the puck, and that will lead to opportunities for us. We also know we have to check very well. So there's a happy balance. We're equal opportunity here. We've addressed both sides, and we expect both sides to be done.
Next question, Terry Jones.
Yes, you and Joel Quenneville and a couple other guys go back to when they played the best of 5 series in the 80s, and it seems to me there are 4 out of 5 games where you're playing every night and kind of a grind. The stats on that stretch are really significant of how many teams win the first game of the series or win the series. Can you speak to that? And with that in mind, how important is that decision for game 1 goalie?
Well, you're exactly right, Terry. The first game is in a best of 5. I mean, it's imperative you start well. Is that if you lose game 1, does that mean you lose the series? No, but it certainly is. It puts you in an advantage. So you have to make sure your team is ready to play in game 1, and you have to make sure your goaltenders are ready to play in game 1.
Okay, we'll take 3 more questions. John Dietz, go ahead, John.
Hey, Dave, I just want to go back to Yamamoto for a second. Was there something that allowed him to turn the corner in your eyes in his career in a relatively short amount of time after you brought him up?
Well, no, he turned his career. When we started the year in training camp, he was injured. He had a wrist injury and didn't play any exhibition games, couldn't play exhibition games from the injury, and went down to the minors. And he knew he had to work at his game. Kenny had told him that we're going to leave him down there for the first half of the year. He's got to get his game. He's got to get his injury to where he can play at full strength, and he's got to get his game in order. And if he did that, he would get an opportunity, and that's exactly what he did. He went there, he got healthy, he got his game going. He was one of the best players down there, and maybe not so much all stats-wise, but just in the things he was doing for that team, both special teams and just playing a real strong, consistent game. So when he got the call up here, he knew he had the confidence that his game was in order, and he came up and he played very well right from the first game. So I give him credit. He understood what he had to do to get back here. He went and did it. And when he got here, he took the opportunity and ran with it. So good for a young player to recognize the time in his career that when the opportunity comes, he can grab it.
Okay, we'll take 3 more questions. Jason Gregor, go ahead.
Dave, can you give us an update on Riley Sheahan, if you think he's going to be ready for Saturday? And are you any closer on making a decision for who's going to start game 1 in goal?
We had everybody on the ice for practice today, which is a good sign, and we'll see. Hopefully we'll have the same thing tomorrow, and we'll continue to talk about the goaltenders today.
Okay, we just have 1 more question. So Jim Matson, as soon as your microphone's open, you can go ahead.
Dave, I want to ask you about your power play. I mean, it was the best power play over the last 40 years, going back to the Canadians in the late 70s. Can a team rely too much on their power play? And as a coach, are you saying, look, we're only going to get about 3 of those in a game, and maybe we might score 1 out of 3, but we have to do a better job 5-on-5, or we can't just ride a power play and figure we're going to win every game because their power play is so good?
Well, you never go into any game or a series thinking you're just going to ride the power play. We want to be a good 5-on-5 team both offensively and defensively. So the majority of the game is played 5-on-5. You want to make sure that's shored up. But that being said, your power play is an opportunity, and it's a tool that you use to try to win games. And that's a tool that we use very successfully. Both our special teams were tools in the toolbox to allow you to win. And when you get that opportunity, you use them. I haven't seen too many coaches come out and decline power plays. Although I've played on a few teams or had a few teams where your power play isn't very good. So there are times when you think about it, but not once this year did I think about declining a power play, because I really like what the guys do on it. Glenn Gullickson does a great job with it, and we have good players. So if power play comes along, I think we should use it.